Jamie Mollart is a regular guest and friend of this show. You'll hear him pop up from time to time. But did you know this, right? Because amongst his many talents, he's an author as well, with his first novel, The Zoo, seeing him named as one of Amazon's rising stars. Well, excitingly, Jamie's just announced his follow-up, Kings of a Dead World, which will be released next year. I'm delighted to say that he joins us now. Now, Jamie, come on, we talk about you. We know you're a massive Leicester City fan. We know that you're into kind of keeping yourself fit and doing things like that. We know the fact that you work for a massive advertising agency as well. So, author, do you ever slow down? Do you ever have time to relax?
No. No, basically no. To be fair though, this book has taken me about 5 years because of all that stuff. So yeah, I'm not. I'm a pretty busy guy. But like yourself, if there's too much to do, life's too much fun.
Life is too much. A family man as well. Of course, you had your little daughter as well in that time as well. But 5 years, okay. Why have you kept us waiting so long then, Jamie?
Well, during so it was during that time, we had Arabella, and she's as you know, Mr. Dayman, a young child is quite time consuming, physically and mentally. We renovated our house, and it just sometimes life gets in the way of things, and it's quite a big idea, and it took me a long time to sort of form it properly in my head and get it out.
And Jamie, we talk. I know that you're a modest man, and I say that we hear from a lot, from you on BBC Radio Leicester. But with that modesty, you found yourself on Amazon's Rising Stars with your debut novel, The Zoo. It came out to critical acclaim as well. Everybody was raving about The Zoo. How did that feel with your debut novel coming out and that reaction that you got?
Yeah, it was amazing, kind of unexpected as well, to be honest. Particularly the Amazon Rising Star thing. I mean, they're the world's biggest retailer, so you got to take that. I took that as something amazing. I think there may have been a little bit of the difficult second novel syndrome in there as well, because when something is so well received, it's a bit of pressure to follow it up. So I think I probably had to let that go before I could do this one.
And did lockdown help with getting more writing done? Locking yourself away.
Strangely enough, yes. Particularly at the beginning, when it was sunny and lovely, and it just felt, and we were all in our houses, and it just felt kind of nice. And like you said, you were just talking about walks. I'm quite a kinetic person when it comes to ideas, so I was going out every day and doing 10,000 steps, and I just found that it used to be if I went swimming, I came up with ideas, but now if I go running or walking, it gets your mind going. I think because you can just cut off from everything else. And I was saying this to somebody yesterday, actually. The actual writing bit of writing is a bit of a slog, it's you've got to get from here to here, and this has got to happen, and there's a lot of words, so it's quite that's the work part. But the creative bit, the fun bit, is when you're thinking it all up in your head, and you're building the world and building the characters up in your head, and that's the bit that comes on you when you're running up a lane.
And with Kings of a Dead World as well, you said then about the fact that creativity and getting your juices flowing, going out for a run, getting your mind working, I guess. What can you tell us about the new novel?
So it's completely different. It's a bit of a departure for me, to be honest. It's I suppose you could say it's science fiction, to be honest, actually, and it's about things I discuss in it, climate change. Actually, a lot of the stuff that come out of it is suddenly become incredibly pertinent. And I was reading it back the other day. I was like, oh, blimey, okay, this is all a bit close to home. But it's about climate change. It's about the use of time, how we use our time, what's important to us, how we do things. There's a lot about personal culpability in there as a human being, what you're responsible for. And something that's always interesting to me in novels. Everything I write comes back to family. Family is so important. So there's some big ideas. But in terms of what it's actually about, it's set in the future, unspecified time. The Earth's resources have dwindled, and a solution has been put forward is called the sleep. And effectively, what happens is everybody gets put into forced hibernation for 3 months, and in each city area, there's one person called a janitor who looks over them, and it's following these two people. So there's a guy called Ben who is forced to be part of the sleep and hibernate, and his wife. Rose has got dementia. So for him, the time that he awakes, which is basically 1 month, 3 months asleep, 1 month awake, that month is incredibly important to him. So for him, use of time is about getting as much out of life as he can. And the janitor is the opposite. They're on their own and have got a lot of time. So it's about, I'm really sort of playing with the idea of of how you use your time, what's important. And as you can imagine, things don't go smoothly, and dissatisfaction's growing about this situation, and it follows those two people through that.
I mean, hearing you say it like that, if you'd have said this, if you'd have said that City would have been put to hibernation for 3 months this time last year, it's quite a scary feeling, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it suddenly feels very pertinent, and the idea came to me about 5 years ago. So at the time, it seemed completely ludicrous, but now it doesn't really. It seems like I don't want to say logical next step, but it's within reach of where we are now in people's minds, I think.
Do you know the other thing that I've seen as well is the fact that you've released the front cover of the book as well. Tell me about that,
Yeah.
and tell me why that's so important. I mean, there must be a lot of headaches that go into picking the front cover of your pride and joy.
So yeah, to me it was really important. I wanted to get this feel of sort of like the 1970s sci-fi film. I can't remember I can't remember what it's called, but there's one when a guy wakes up and he's the only man left in the world. And I really wanted to get that idea of like 1970s sci-fi. And all I did was there's a lady, I'm going to absolutely butcher her name now. It's Heike Schussler, who works for my publisher, and I gave that brief to her. Well, they gave the brief to her on my behalf, and it came back like that. And I just looked at it and went, "She's nailed it. That's it. It's absolutely perfect. She's done such a beautiful job of it."
And that's it. And that's how you do it. You kind of put it out there and like that. That's literally when you see it, you get that feeling and you know that
Yeah.
is what's going to represent everything that you've poured yourself into. Jamie, it's been so lovely talking to you. How do we stay up to date though? You know, how do we get more information when the book's released as well? How do we get our hands on it? What's the best way?
So you can pre-order it now, actually. It's available on Amazon now. It's also on my publisher's website, which is sandstonepress.com. And if you want to keep up to date with me, I'm on Instagram at Jamie Mollart, and I'm on Facebook at Jamie Mollart Author.